today we're going to tackle about the child find through a pre-referral process. So you want to know about this topic all about?
Ganahan mong maminaw?
Ma'am!
Good day, everyone. Today I will discuss child find through a pre-referral process. Referral for evaluation and special education service begins by identifying students who have additional needs and who may be at risk for development disabilities. A. Pre-referral process. Child noted to have significant difficulties in relation to expected competencies and developmental milestone for observation and assessment. A team of professionals known as pre-referral team is a comprised of special education, teachers, counselor, administrators, and psychologists who collaborate to determine reason for the observed. So, a pre-referral process is so they can collaborate to find ways to meet the needs of children with developmental delays. Ang pre-referral ay ang panimulang punto ng proseso ng espesyal na edukasyon. Ang pre-referral ay isang kahilingan lamang para sa pagsusuri. Ang referral na ito ay maaaring gawin ng magulang o tagapag-alaga, guro sa silid-aralan, sino mang membro ng distrito ng paaralan, mapapubliko man o pribado, isang opisyal na hudikatura o isang mag-aaral. Mahalaga ang pre-referral dahil dito malalaman natin mga proseso sa mga bata na kahulugan o kakulangan sa kanilang espesyal na katangian. Dahil anuman meron sila, andito ang espesyal na edukasyon para matugunan ang mga batang may kakulangan at kakulangan sa pangangailangan ng bata ng delay sa development. So, let's proceed. Taylor, 2009, provided an assessment model that begins with a pre-referral process. So, dito sa Taylor, 2009 provided an assessment. Children with noted development delays and difficulties are identified through observation and use of norm and criterion reference tests. They are not immediately referred for special education testing, but are the first provided with the necessary academic and behavioral support needed to address noted challenges. Dito sa Taylor 2009 in assessment, nahihirapan ang bata. Mahalaga ito dahil kailangan tugunan ang batang nahihirapan sa kanyang edukasyon. It is important academic behavioral support to the student, what they need because her delays and difficulties. So, they observe some referred tests to test the student if if makaya ba nila ito or hindi, o kung saan mas komportable ang estudyante. Ito naman tayo sa in-assessment model. Taylor 2009 explained that the initial step is to determine teaching areas whenever a learner will be benefit from additional support through a variety of means. So, dito sa Taylor 2009, in his assessment explained that initial step is to determine teaching areas is very young students who at risk or suspected to have additional needs may also identify through community based on screening. So, ang mga batang suspect suspect suspected sa merong mga espesyal na katangian is they screen the students if they have a need, especially in education, or they struggle the tests or etc. And then let's proceed. Child development and social workers used to development screening tools such as the Early Childhood Care and Development ECCD checklist that covers items expected for a child's typical development presented in Chapter 5. Once a program of pre-referral intervention has been designed, implementation and evaluation follow to determine how effective it is in addressing the needs of the child. So, teacher Jhasmin will show the preferred strategies.
Good day, everyone. So, after teacher Regine discussed about the referral process, I will be your instructor to discuss the next topic. But later, teacher Regine will elaborate more about the referral process. But first, let me introduce myself. Hi everyone, my name is Jhasmin. And today, we will discuss about the referral strategies. So be ready to listen. So before we start, or before I discuss to you about the referral strategies, let me introduce to you about what is referral. What is referral? It is to identify, develop alternative education strategies for education who have recognized problems in the classroom before the students is referred to special education. So it means that it is an educational strategies to identify if the students have educational problems inside the classroom before the students is referred to special education. Next, essential in the referral intervention is the use of referral strategies that are designed to provide immediate instructional and or behavior management support to a child. So, napaka-importante pala na ang referral intervention ay makagamit ng isang referral strategies. So, what is referral strategies? It is to design to provide immediate instructional or behavior management to support a child. So, it means that ang referral strategies pala ay nagbibigay ng instructional or behavior management to support a child. So, napaka-importante pala na gamitin ang referral strategies kasi nakakatulong pala ito para sa isang teacher na makamanage ng estudyante niya, no? To support, to know her or his behavior, and also to identify. Using such strategies lessens the number of cases referred for special education and makes efficient use of time and financial resources that could have been spent for special education assessment according to Howard 2013. So, ang ibig sabihin pala nito na ang strategies ay nakakatulong din because it will lessens the number of students that refer to as special educations, and also it will be efficient use of time. So hindi siya sagabal sa oras. At saka madali lang ay talagang kapag nagamit mo talaga to na yung strategy niya, talagang yung time mo talagang magagawa mo talaga in just a time. Hindi siya waste of time and financial resources that could have been spent for special education assessment. So also it also financial resources kasi if the students have the special education, so hindi siya hindi siya nasuspend ng financial because it will refer to have a special education assessment. And also additional to that is that this will also lessen the tendency of over-referrals to special education and wasting time as children wait to be tested rather than receive the instructional and behavioral support they need. So it means also na nakakababa din pala ito ng bilang ng special education and wasting time sa mga bata kasi rather than waiting sa pagtanggap ng mga instructional or behavioral support they need, no, makakatulong pala ito kung ito yung gagamitin mong strategy. So these are the example of referral strategies. These are, number 1, observation of the child's behavior. It means that obserbahan natin yung bata, kung ano yung ugali niya. Number 2, including interactions with parents, teachers, and parents. So, include pala sa referral strategies yung pag-i-interact sa parents, no, teachers, and sa mga kaibigan ng estudyante. Pangatlo, interview of the parents and teachers to gather more information about the child. So, it also include yung pag-interview sa parents ng bata to gather more data about the student. Next is review of school records and analysis of the child's academic output through error analysis, portfolio assessment, and criterion reference and curriculum-based assessment according to Taylor 2009. So it means na pwede din sa referral strategies, it include na review of the school records and those mga performance or output ng mga bata. So malalaman pala natin yung mga problem ng isang bata kapag nakita din natin yung mga academic performance or outputs ng mga bata. Depending on the information gathered, corresponding changes can be made to manage the child's needs, such as modification of the classroom environment, like seating arrangement, group change, and teachers' proximity in class, instructional support, and relevant classroom and behavior management. So kapag nakuha na pala natin yung mga information na nakuha natin doon sa mga nasabi ko kanina, so may magbabago sa mga kinakailangan ng estudyante. Include na dito yung classroom environment, no, such as sitting arrangement, group change, and teachers' proximity in class. So example of sitting arrangement, kung yung bata is farsighted pala siya, so saan mo pala siya ilalagay, saan tamang location mo siya ilalagay. Group change, no, kung siya ba ay talagang may problema sa grupo niya, so papalitan ay kung hindi siya bumabagay doon sa grupo na inassign mo, so ikaw mismo na teacher papalitan mo siya sa grupo na bumabagay sa kanya. And also yung teacher's proximity mo, iibahin mo yon. And also the instructional support, relevant classroom, and behavior management. Lahat yon magbabago pag nalaman mo kung ano talaga yung totoong special needs ng isang bata. Yun yung according to McLaughlin and Lewis 2009. Next, if despite provision of additional support, struggles and difficulties persist, then the child is referred for assessment either within the school if such services are available or referred to a professional for further assessment. So, kung about naman sa additional support, so may mga iba't iba tayong solution para dyan. Mga struggles and difficulties, so nire-referred nila na ang student or ang bata ay kinakailangan ng assessment within ba sa school, or kung meron naman kayong available services such as psychologist, mga professional na makakatulong para sa assessment ng isang bata. What is essential at this point is that the teachers have implemented a variety of approaches and practices to ensure that support is provided before formal assessment. So it means na what is essential sa punto ng mga teacher na implement ito na practices. It is to ensure na yung suporta ng bata ay mangyayari o maibibigay before the formal assessment. So next, I will be discussing to you about the referral process, yung mga step na kinakailangan na gawin in referral strategies. So meron tayong first step, second step, third step, and fourth step. Or tinatawag na first stage, second stage, third stage, and fourth stage. So, ang first stage natin is initial identification. So, in initial identification, it includes recognition of potential problem, parent or teacher observation, and review of school records, classroom observation. So, in first stage, it recognizes the problems or the potential problems. So, dito natin malalaman yung mga problema ng bata. So, ma-identify natin yon sa paggamit pala ng strategy nito. Maraming mga assessment na kinakailangan. So, like, knowing their background information. Next is the parent or teacher observation. So, ditong stage na to, magagamit din natin to, yung pag-obserba ng mga parent at ng teacher sa isang bata. So, next is the review of school records, classroom observation. So, in first stage, pwede din natin gamitin yon na pag-gather ng data such as yung school records and classroom observation. Doon malalaman din natin kung anong kinakailangan ng isang bata at kung ano bang dapat natin gawin para sa isang bata about sa kanyang educational problem. Next is the second stage. These are the determination of teaching areas and strategies. So, ang determination of teaching areas and strategies, dito naman malalaman natin yung determine ng isang teacher na magamit about sa mga areas and strategies. So, like small group instruction and direct instruction. So, small group instruction. So, ano ba ang small group instruction? So, ang small group instruction, dito natin yung which is magko-collect tayo ng data. Dito tayo mag-start ng yung kinollect nating data, doon na tayo mag-start ng discussion ng mga information na na-collect natin. So, it's either ba sa small group instruction or direct instruction natin i-discuss, Next is the implementation of teaching programs. So, first is the additional in class or after school support. So, kanina nung sinabi ko na yung pag-additional ng support sa isang bata kung kinakailangan, di ba? So, dito malalaman natin kung kailangan niya ba ng support after class ba or before sa klase. Next is the modification of classroom environment and behavior. So dito natin ma-implement, no, yung stage na kinakailangan natin, yung suporta at yung modification of classroom environment and behavior ng isang estudyante, and also the modification of instruction to address potential needs. So dito natin ma-implement yung mga instruction na maaari nating maibigay, no, sa isang bata. So if sa second stage natin is to discuss the information na nakuha natin sa isang bata. So dito naman sa third stage natin is to monitor the yung third stage niya is to monitor the student and implementation to the student, and nakikita din natin doon yung pag-implement lahat ng processes, 'di ba? Sa third stage niya. So nandun yung instruction to address potential needs and modification of classroom environment and behavior. And the last stage is to evaluation of teaching program. So after the modification, ang next step naman is the evaluation. So in evaluation of teaching program, first is to determine effectiveness of programs on learning and behavior. So in last stage, we will determine the effectively of the programs. So doon natin makikita kung effective ba lahat ng na ginamit natin to learning and behavior of the child. So mo ito yung mga preferal stage na kinakailangan gawin para sa to use preferal strategies. So ulitin ko. So ang first stage, it begins with someone or the school staff are having concern about the student academic behavior performance. So the teacher should recognize the problem. So dun pa lang, first stage pa lang, dun niya implement yung mga collecting data na mangyayari. Second stage, if the data are collected or na-gather na lahat na information about sa bata, so dito na mangyayari yung second stage. No, it will dito na yung mangyari na pagdi-discuss ng information na nakuha ng mga teacher para sa bata. So ang third stage naman is to monitor the student and implementation to the students, our responsibility of the classroom teacher. So dito sa third stage na to, dito naman mangyayari yung implementation or yung support ng teacher at ng parents sa student or sa child na yun. So, dito mangyari lahat ng mga solution. So, next and the last stage naman pala is yung evaluation. So, last stage natin is the peripheral team will collect the data to determine if the student progress, no, So the last stage natin is the evaluation. So the peripheral team will collect the data to determine the student progress. At this stage, they will decide if the student will go on special education, or kung dito din nila ma-decide kung ano yung kinakailangan nilang maibigay sa student. So that's would be all, and next na mag-discuss naman is si Teacher Regine. That will be all, and thank you.
Okay, can everyone please put their books under their desk? Silent reading is over. Arms folded, sit up straight.
Tim is a 9-year-old boy in grade 4. He lives with his mum, dad, and his 15-year-old brother. He loves reading books and watching movies. Tim is a competent student who is very attentive in class, but his teacher is a little concerned about his behaviour.
So we grab the reader's attention. Okay, Tim, what do you think would be the next thing that we would need to write in an exposition? What kinds of things would you put after you'd written an interesting title? Where would you go from there?
I don't know.
Okay. Does anyone think they can help Tim out? Georgia.
Well, we need to talk cats and dogs.
I've got a good idea. How about cats and dogs?
But
Everyone wants dogs or cats?
no cats.
Goldfish?
No goldfish. No cats. Cats are better. No, but cats. Cats are things. And cats also, yeah, and they chase birds and kill them. And dogs but you know that. I'm not invisible, you know.
Tim, what's wrong?
They won't let me say anything.
Okay, well, we don't need to yell. What should we be doing as a table?
We should work together.
We should be working together and taking turns to speak. What would you like to say, Tim?
I want to do it about cats and dogs, but they're...
Thanks for coming and talking to me. I appreciate it. I just wanted to talk to you about why you got so angry before. I'm just wondering if I can talk to you quickly about Tim Smythe in my room.
Yes, sure. I know Tim.
Oh, good. Okay. How has he behaved in library for you?
Well, I've noticed him at lunchtime. He's in here most days, and obviously an avid reader. He sits over there on his own and just reads away. And he's reading books which are high school type books. So I always just have a little chat with him, and we just have a little conversation about what he's reading. I try, make all the kids feel okay.
Okay, great. He's doing some wonderful things in class. His writing's fantastic. I'm just a little concerned. I think he's having some difficulties with socialisation. Yeah. So you haven't noticed him talking to any other kids much in here at all?
Yeah, you're right. I haven't actually. He's
Okay.
actually just sits on his own. And I have at one point, I did ask him, why don't you go and join the other kids? But he just would rather sit on his own. So...
Okay.
Yeah, but I can keep my eye on that for you and let you know if I see anything else.
If we can, both just keep our eye on it and we'll keep in touch and see if anything.
I'll see you in the next few days.
Yeah,
Find out if something.
Thanks,
Okay.
Deb.
Ciao.
Bye. Good mix in the class of personality.
Tim's teacher decides to consult with a senior colleague about her concerns.
He seems to be withdrawn though in the playground. I can't tell that he's playing with many people. Whenever I go to the classroom, he's not. He's by himself. Is that okay, or is that something I should kind of be worried about?
I find that a bit of a worry, really. I mean, it's been 6 weeks. You'd think he'd have made some friends.
Yeah.
So is there anything else that he's doing? Anything else you've noticed that might be...
Well, actually, today I noticed that he's really particular about his work and he's really quite neat and he's really upset if he makes mistakes. He gets really worked up about it.
After some discussion, the senior colleague is concerned that Tim is experiencing difficulties both in the way he's getting along with his peers and how easily he gets upset with his classwork and has been for 6 weeks. She suggests that an initial conversation with Tim's parents might be helpful in gathering more information about what's going on for Tim.
Oh, thanks, Christine. Thanks for coming in, Mr. and Mrs. Smythe. I really appreciate it. I know you're busy people. So what I just wanted to talk to you about first is that Tim's actually doing really well in his schoolwork. He's trying really hard.
That's
and
good.
he's looking to do the best that he can.
Tim's teacher already has a good relationship with his parents, but makes sure to set the scene for the conversation. She gives Tim's parents a chance to say how they think Tim's been faring lately, before making a professional judgment that Tim's parents would be receptive to hearing her concerns for Tim.
What I wanted to talk about though also is that he's having some difficulties in group work. So when he's working with other children in the classroom, he's actually finding it difficult if he doesn't get his own way in how to express himself. We've had a couple of outbursts lately with pencil throwing and pencil case throwing onto the floor and yelling.
No, it's that.
Sounds serious, yeah.
Yeah, so is there anything that's maybe changed at home recently or in his life recently that might be bringing on this?
Well, nothing's really changed, but we have been concerned for a while that he's not really willing to mix with other kids and socialise. He'd rather spend time alone in his room on the computer or reading, and that's been a worry for us, hasn't it?
Yeah, look, he's always been a bit of a loner. He likes his own company, and that's him.
He's always been shy.
But there's been times at home where I'm having conflict with him when I'm asking him to do things.
Right, okay.
That sort of a bit of a warning or something sounds familiar there about
Right.
that.
So looking at the social side of things, is he playing any sport on the weekend where he could, interact with other children his age?
You'd really like him to.
Yeah, no, he's not. He's not a sporty boy.
Right.
I'd love him to play sport, and I think it would be really good for him.
But we work long hours and most Saturdays, and it's really hard for us to get him there.
I can understand that. Yeah.
Besides that, he just doesn't want to do it. He's not into it. It's not his thing. He'd rather be in his room reading, on the internet, on his computer.
Okay. Well, look, what I wanted to do here is open up communication between the both of you and the school, and then look and see if we can find any issues or how we can actually help Tim to move out of this situation so we don't have these outbursts. I'd really like to keep communicating with you on these things and see if we can get to the bottom of it and move forward.
We'd like that and appreciate that too.
Yeah.
So, okay. Well, thank you very much.
Okay. Thanks for coming in.
When we developed the Tim case study, we didn't give you all of the information. And we deliberately did that because we know that as teachers, you're not in a place to be making decisions about whether or not Tim has a mental health difficulty. You're very well placed to be gathering information, to be observing and to be able to document that in the chart that can then be used to help make some of those decisions about whether or not there is a concern, whether it's something that you need to talk with family and to go down the referral pathway to get a mental health professional involved. When you have a look at the chart that you've been filling out, have a look to see whether or not you've been filling out behaviours that you can see, things that you can hear, or whether you attempted to go off into some judgments, whether you were starting to make some decisions around whether or not there was a family problem or whether or not there was something else going on. The aim of the observation tool is to gather the information and to keep all options open, to not start to narrow that down, but to really try and get a sense of all of the possible things that could be going on for Tim.
And now, let's proceed the story of Carl's pre-referral process. Miss Reyes, a third grade teacher, has always been baffled by one of her students named Carl. She has observed that Carl is very creative. He loves to draw and is quite good at it. He is fluent in conservant in English and creates such imaginative stories. She noted, however, that unlike his peers who can already read short stories for grade 3 and write paragraphs, well, Carl is struggling at the word level. Although he can create his own stories through oral narration, he can seem to write them down without having spelling errors. Gets very frustrated in such tasks that he needs to answer easy question in a test. He just scribbles a word or two or stop trying altogether. Miss Reyes, together with the subject teachers and the guidance counselor, discussed Carl's behavior and performance in terms of his strength, needs, and strategies that have worked in the past. They have noted that giving him a list of high-frequency words and sight from words has been helpful. They suggest to pair him up with a classmate who is an able reader to help during writing tasks. They had a meeting with his parents and informed them that he will given supplementary reading and writing practice worksheet to be answered at home to build automaticity in reading. And finally, he was recommended to join an after-school English remedial class to address his reading and spelling difficulties. Miss Reyes decided to refer Carl to the school guidance team to determine reason to account for her difficulties. The team advised Miss Reyes in what she needs to do in pre-referral process. Miss Reyes collected the sample works across subject areas, reviews his report cards from the previous grade levels, and had sit-down meeting with the rest of his teacher. So, Carl's stories is si Carl ay nahihirapan sa kanyang level. Although, she can create imagination stories and creative and fluent in English, but she is struggling also and spelling and reading. So, sa ganitong sitwasyon ay kailangan ang estudyante ay matugunan. Kagaya ng kay Carl na dapat ipatugunan dahil pag hindi ito natugunan, di natin paano niya matutunan ang mga mahalagang bagay para sa kanya kung nahihirapan siyang magbasa, magsulat, or etc. kung saan siya nahihirapan. So, mahalaga rin na as a future teacher, if I have a student who is struggling in this pareho kay Carl. The Carl story is Carl is a very creative, good in draw, a quiet student, fluent in English, create such imaginative story, but Carl also struggling in her studies because Carl can't read, spelling, and he frustrated the task that he needs to answer easy question test. So her teacher decided go to the guidance team counselor, discuss Carl's situation and performance and behavior. So the teacher decided giving him a list of high frequency words and sight words has been helpful for Carl. The teacher suggests classmates help him during writing tasks. Her teacher meet Carl's parents, inform them Carl's given supplementary reading and writing practice worksheet answered at home. Carl's joined the remedial class spelling and reading in English subject because of her difficulty. As a teacher, as a future teacher, in Carl's situation, we need go to the guidance team, counselor, or katastaasan ng paaralan para malaman dapat ang gawin sa bata. Hindi pwede tayo na guro ang gagawa ng desisyon ng atin-atin lamang. Kailangan duman tayo sa katastaasan ng paaralan. Katastaasan ng paaralan. it is important to discuss the pre-referral process. How it is important because referrals are the second easiest way to increase patient volumes, and next to making sure that you can retain existing patients. People are more likely to trust their primary care physician opinion. To help these challenges in pre-referral of a children, it is uses problem-solving team to help teacher find effective teaching strategies for use with students who exhibit academic or behavioral in difficulties. Of course, the mere fact that a student displays such as behavioral does not necessarily mean that the student requires special education service. So, I have 5 steps we'll take in the referral process. Students who have special needs. Number 1, initial referral for special education. Number 2, evaluation process. Number 3, determining eligibility for special education. Number 4, developing the student individualized education plan. Number 5, implementation of service and annual review. So, it is important that these 5 steps will helpful to the student will take in the referral process, or the teacher who have a student to pre-referral process to determine of their needs. So, I have 5 steps again in providing effective guiding training. Number 1, identify referral needs. Number 2, speak directly to the referral provider as appropriate. Number 3, provide verbal and or written hand-off with person consent. Number 4, manage difficult situation. Number 5, follow up with the client about the referral. So, it is important to know these 5 steps in providing effective guiding and training, because to know the client or parents of the student, how important to know the referral process, because referral are the second easiest to increase patients in volumes. So the student who have a referral process, because they are struggling in her level, so it is important that discuss this, and this is helpful to the children's and teacher, also helpful to find effective teaching strategies for use in students who exhibit academic or behavioral difficulties. This behavioral does not necessarily mean that student requires special education. So, it is important that students know the referral process, or also the teacher or other counselor, principal, etc. nakatas-taasang mga guro sa paaralan para matugunan nila ang mga batang mayroong pre-referral process na kalagayan. para malaman nila kung ano ang kanilang gagawin upang matugunan ito. Thank you.